The phone rang in the middle of a quiet afternoon. Daniel reached for it with no sense of alarm.
Mr. Reeves? Mr. Hargrove. Hargrove Funeral Home. I am calling to confirm the service arrangements your wife scheduled.
Daniel's fingers tightened on the handset. He had not been expecting any call from a funeral home.
I am sorry. There must be some mistake. I am perfectly fine.
No mistake, sir. Your wife, Patricia, prepaid the full service 3 weeks ago. Casket, chapel, plot, everything.
3 weeks ago. She never mentioned a funeral. Why would she do this? I am alive and healthy. Why would my wife book a funeral for me?
I don't understand. She was very insistent. I have the contract right here on my screen.
Daniel ended the call without another word. The phone slipped from his hand onto the cushion.
Patricia prepaid my funeral 3 weeks ago, and I am still breathing.
Daniel pushed up from the armchair and walked to the kitchen. The wall calendar hung next to the refrigerator. A date 3 weeks back was circled in red. He uncapped a pen and drew a second, darker circle around the number. That week held more than a lunch appointment.
The same week she gave me the new heart pills. Coincidence or the seed of something deliberate? Mr. Hargrove, Daniel Reeves again. I need the exact date my wife made those arrangements, and I want a copy of the contract.
Of course, sir. It was Tuesday the 7th, 3 weeks ago. I'll email the pre-arrangement document right now. Is everything all right?
Daniel gave his email address and stood by the printer. The machine hummed, and a single page slid out. A Hargrove Funeral Home contract. Final arrangements. Reeves. At the bottom, Patricia Reeves had signed in clear blue ink the date 3 weeks ago.
She paid for my funeral the same week she started me on new medication. That isn't just strange. That is a pattern. Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. That's all I needed. 3 weeks. She planned this while I sat in the next room. What else has she arranged without telling me?
Daniel left the funeral contract on the table and went to Patricia's study. Her roll-top desk sat unguarded, as always.
She paid for a funeral without my knowledge. What else is tucked into these drawers?
Inside a leather folder, he found the life insurance policy. A rider amendment was clipped to the front page, dated the same Tuesday. Rider, accidental death benefit. Amount increased to $750,000. Policyholder, Patricia Reeves. Date, 3 weeks ago.
The same Tuesday, she booked the funeral. She doubled my life insurance on the same day she ordered my casket.
He pulled a desk calendar from under some folders. In Patricia's handwriting, increase life insurance, 2 p.m.
This isn't a misunderstanding. She's building a financial reason for my death.
Daniel brought the papers to a copy shop. The machine hummed as it duplicated every page. Insurance, calendar, contract.
She smiled at breakfast while signing papers that priced my life. The funeral, the insurance, they all point one direction. Now I need to find out what's in those pills.
In the bathroom, Daniel opened the medicine cabinet. The new prescription bottle stood alone on the glass shelf.
Patricia handed me this bottle 3 weeks ago with a glass of water. Just started forgetting things, she said.
A wave of dizziness hit him. He braced one hand against the doorframe until the spinning stopped.
These dizzy spells started the same week. Not once before, never.
He twisted open the drawer under the counter and pulled out a Ziploc bag. With steady hands, he dropped several tablets inside.
If she's been giving me double strength or something else, a lab will tell me.
He searched for independent laboratories in the next town. A small clinic promised discreet medication analysis.
I'll drop these off tomorrow morning. No one needs to know.
Daniel slipped the bag into his jacket and headed for the garage. He needed answers, not guesses.
Patricia thinks I am a trusting old man. She's about to find out she's wrong.
Daniel walked into the sterile quiet of the lab. Dr. Simmons, a woman in a white coat, stood behind the counter.
What can I do for you today, sir?
I need these pills analyzed. I've been getting dizzy, and I want to know if the dosage is correct.
Someone gave these to you. This isn't a standard prescription from your doctor.
My wife. She gave them to me for my heart. I just want an independent test.
I'll run a full panel. It'll take 48 hours. You'll want the results as soon as they're ready.
On the drive home, Daniel replayed every dizzy spell, every timed coincidence. The waiting had already begun. When he walked into the kitchen, Patricia turned from the stove with a warm smile. She looked exactly as she always did.
Doctor says I am in perfect health. Just the usual reminders about cholesterol and exercise.
That's wonderful, darling. I told you there was nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. Except the funeral she booked and the pills she gave me.
He needed hard copies of everything. The moment Patricia left for her bridge club, Daniel drove back to the copy shop. The copier hummed as it duplicated the funeral contract, the insurance rider, the calendar pages. Each page a piece of a silent accusation. At home, he took a blank manila folder and wrote in dark marker, "Evidence." He tucked the warm copies inside.
If anything happens to me, this folder will speak for me.
That evening, while Patricia watched television, Daniel sat at his computer and pulled up the Hargrove Funeral Home website. The scheduled service appeared under upcoming arrangements. Daniel Reeves. Full package. The date, only 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks. She gave me a countdown without a single word.
He printed the page and added it to the folder. Then he carried the whole file to the gun safe bolted in the basement, a place Patricia never touched.
Let her plan. I am building a counterplan she can't see.
That evening, Patricia walked into the living room carrying a glass of water and a small white pill.
Time for your pill, darling. You don't want to miss it.
The same phrase every night, as if missing it would lead to something terrible.
He placed the pill on his tongue and drank, then set the glass down with a grateful nod. The moment she turned toward the kitchen, he worked the pill to his cheek and slipped it into a napkin. He folded the napkin and slid it into his pocket. Later, he'd transfer it to the evidence bag. A wave of vertigo hit before he reached the hallway. The morning dose was still working through his body.
The morning pill is the one I can't fake. She watches me too closely at breakfast. I have to survive until that lab report lands in my hands.
He braced himself against the wall and exhaled, waiting for the spinning to stop. The next morning, with Patricia out, Daniel went through her purse. Among the tissues and lipstick, a folded receipt from Evergreen Monument Works.
A headstone. She ordered a headstone with my name and a date weeks from now.
He drove to Evergreen Cemetery, the name on the receipt. The autumn air felt too cold for the season. The iron cemetery gates stood open. He parked and walked past rows of familiar names until he found the plot number. A fresh headstone stood under a gray cloth, the drape clipped to the granite. He pulled the cloth aside. The inscription read, "Beloved husband, Daniel Reeves, 1955, 2024. The end date was only 3 weeks away.
She already picked the date I am supposed to die. This isn't a plan. It's a schedule.
He took out his phone and photographed the stone, the plot number, the surrounding flowers. More evidence.
She paid for the casket, the plot, the stone. All she needs is my body.
He replaced the cloth and walked back to the car. The file in his safe had just grown heavier. Daniel returned from the cemetery to find Patricia at the kitchen table, circling a cruise brochure. She looked up with a bright smile.
I was thinking we could book that Alaskan cruise. 3 weeks from now, just us. A final trip.
3 weeks from now. The same week my headstone says I'll be dead. She's already planning my last voyage.
A twist of nausea made him grip the counter. The room tilted. Patricia watched with a sympathy that didn't reach her eyes. He excused himself, stepping onto the back porch to call the lab. The phone rang twice before Dr. Simmons answered.
Mr. Reeves, the results are ready. I'd rather discuss them in person. Can you come in the morning?
I'll be there at 9. She wouldn't say over the phone. That means it's bad.
He went back inside. Patricia had the calendar open, her pen hovering over the cruise departure date.
By tomorrow afternoon, I'll know exactly what she's been feeding me. Then we'll see whose plans get cancelled.
Daniel arrived at the laboratory at 8:45. The morning sun gave the sterile hallway a cold white glow.
Mr. Reeves, right on time. Come into my office.
Dr. Simmons handed him a sealed manila envelope. Her expression was grim.
The analysis is complete. I strongly recommend you read this with someone you trust.
What did you find? Just tell me.
The report is conclusive. Please read it yourself.
Daniel took the envelope. It felt heavy, as if the truth inside had a physical weight. He didn't open it until he was driving. The envelope sat on the passenger seat like a silent passenger. He pulled into a rest stop overlooking the river. The only sound was the ticking of the cooling engine. In the rear-view mirror, his own eyes stared back. He lifted the envelope and slid his thumb under the seal. He pulled the report from the envelope. The lab letterhead was stark, the findings printed in sharp black ink. Warning: double-strength dosage detected. Active pharmaceutical ingredient exceeds prescribed safe limits.
Double the dose. That's why my heart races. Why the room tilts every time I stand up.
The chemical breakdown confirmed it. Each pill contained twice the medication his doctor had never prescribed.
She didn't just plan my funeral. She's been poisoning me one pill at a time.
At the bottom, a handwritten note from Dr. Simmons. Dosage not safe for long-term use. Please call immediately. He recalled the grim look on Dr. Simmons' face as she handed him the envelope. She had known.
She knew the moment she gave it to me, and she couldn't say it aloud.
He folded the report with deliberate care and tucked it into the evidence folder, next to the funeral contract.
Now the police will know too.
Daniel parked across from the police station and sat for a full minute, the evidence folder heavy on his lap. He walked through the glass doors and asked for a detective. The desk sergeant pointed him toward a plain room down the hall. Detective Marsh rose from his desk, a solid man in plain clothes, a notepad already in hand.
Mr. Reeves, I heard a bit from the front. You have something serious to report.
My wife booked my funeral 3 weeks ago. She increased my life insurance the same week. And these are the pills she's been giving me.
He laid out the funeral contract, the insurance rider, the cemetery photographs, and finally, the lab report.
Double strength, no prescription. That's a poison charge waiting, but it's circumstantial. We need her to admit it or catch her in the act.
She's planning a cruise in 3 weeks. She expects me to be dead by then. What do I do until you can move?
Go home. Act normal. Don't give her a reason to run. I'll open a file and get a warrant in motion. We'll be in touch.
Daniel walked out into the afternoon sun, leaving the copies behind. The real documents stayed locked in his safe. Before leaving the station, Detective Marsh handed him a small digital recorder. Capture anything that proves intent, Marsh had said. At home, Daniel placed the recorder behind the potted fern on the living room bookshelf. The red light blinked once. He was setting the dinner table when Patricia walked in, her smile as easy as ever.
You've been so busy today. Are you feeling all right?
I am fine. I was actually thinking about that cruise you mentioned. Reminded me we haven't discussed final wishes. You know, just in case.
Patricia's fork paused for half a second. Then she continued, smooth as glass.
Such a gloomy topic. But since you brought it up, I did have the insurance policy updated. For our peace of mind.
For her peace of mind. My death is her retirement plan.
We should make sure everything is in order. I can pull up the policy tomorrow if you like.
The recorder blinked steadily behind the fern, capturing every word. That evening, after dinner, Patricia carried in 2 cups of coffee and sat across from him, her smile bright but her eyes watchful.
I booked the cruise this afternoon. It's non-refundable. We're locked in.
Non-refundable. She's so sure I won't be around to use the ticket.
I suppose if anything happens to you, I'll have to take that cruise alone. A widow's voyage.
Speaking of that, did you increase the insurance payout recently? I noticed some papers.
I did, darling. For our peace of mind. Have you reviewed the updated policy?
Later, Daniel retrieved the recorder from behind the fern. The red light still blinked, holding her voice.
Detective Marsh, I have a recording you need to hear. She was careful, but the intent is there.
They met in a near-empty parking lot. Daniel handed over the small device without a word. Marsh pocketed the recorder and nodded. This might be the piece we need. Go home and wait. 2 days later, Patricia returned from the pharmacy with a crisp white bag. She held it out like a gift.
The pharmacist suggested a new formulation. Take 2 capsules now for better absorption.
2 capsules. She's doubled it again. The first batch was already poisoning me.
He took the bottle and read the label. Take 2 capsules daily. The date was today.
Thank you, dear. I'll start these after lunch.
He excused himself to the bathroom. From the drawer, he pulled out the old bottle and swapped the labels. The new bottle, now, with the original label, went into his pocket. The tampered one stayed hidden.
Physical proof. The label itself is an order to double the poison. Marsh can use this. Detective, she brought home a new bottle with the dosage doubled. I have it.
Keep it safe. We're moving tomorrow. Don't let her give you another dose.
The phone rang at 8 in the evening. Detective Marsh's voice was steady and direct.
We have enough. Tomorrow at 2, a car will pull up. Let them in. Keep her there.
And if she tries to leave before then?
Don't give her a reason to. Act like today is any other Tuesday.
After the call, Daniel sat in the armchair as the room darkened. The quiet felt different now. He lifted a wedding photograph from the side table. 2 younger faces smiling at a future neither could have predicted.
We promised for better or worse. I just never thought the worst would come from her.
He set the picture down and let out a slow breath.
Tomorrow afternoon, this house becomes a crime scene.
Outside, the street was quiet, but under the stillness, the plan was already in motion. Morning broke clear and ordinary. Patricia buttered toast and poured coffee as if the day held nothing but small talk.
I'll finish packing the cruise bag this afternoon. We can do a final check together tonight.
Cruise bag. She's already packed for a trip I am not supposed to take.
Daniel's eyes flicked to the clock above the stove. 1:45. He forced himself to sip the coffee. Each minute stretched longer than the last. Rising to clear the dishes, he paused at the front window. The street was still except for a dark sedan 3 houses down. The unmarked cruiser's engine idled. No lights, no sound, just presence.
I am going to grab the mail before it gets too warm out.
He opened the front door. Detective Marsh was already on the walkway, badge glinting. Marsh gave a single firm nod. It was time. Marsh stepped inside, his badge still raised. The hallway air turned cold and still. Patricia rounded the corner from the kitchen, coffee cup balanced in her palm. Her eyes found the badge, then the stranger.
Daniel, who is this? What's going on?
Mrs. Reeves, I am Detective Marsh. We need to talk about the funeral arrangements you made for your husband.
Funeral arrangements? I have no idea what you are referring to. There must be a mistake.
Daniel raised the pill bottle, the swapped label visible. His hand didn't tremble. Patricia's face drained. The warmth she wore every day vanished, leaving behind only hard, flat ice.
I did it for us. The policy would have paid enough to start over. He was going to leave me nothing.
Marsh recited her rights as the cuffs clicked shut. She didn't resist. Daniel watched from the edge of the room, the pill bottle still clutched in his hand. Daniel moved to the front window in time to see the cruiser door swing open. Patricia was guided into the back seat, her posture rigid, her face hidden by the roof's shadow. The sedan pulled away without sirens. Daniel closed the front door, and the house fell into a deep, unnatural stillness. He stood in the spot where she had been arrested, the indentation of her heels still fresh in the carpet. He walked to the bedroom. The wedding ring felt tighter than it had in decades. He twisted the gold band until it slid over his knuckle and off his hand.
A lifetime of promise, and it falls off as easily as a breath.
He set the ring on the nightstand next to a photo of them from 20 years ago. He did not cry. He stood in the silence and listened to the house breathe. There was still one more place he needed to go before the day ended. Daniel pulled into the Hargrove Funeral Home parking lot for the first time. The brick facade looked smaller than it had on the phone. Mr. Hargrove rose from his desk, his face shifting from professional calm to wide-eyed alarm as Daniel entered.
I am Daniel Reeves. You called me a few days ago about my funeral. I am here to cancel it.
Mr. Reeves, but your wife, I don't understand. You are supposed to be.
Daniel placed the original contract on the desk. He signed the cancellation line with a steady hand.
The plot and the headstone, those I'll keep, but Patricia's name is not to appear on a single document or engraving.
He slid a photograph of the existing headstone across the desk, the one she'd ordered with his name and an end date.
I'll have the engraver remove her name this afternoon. Only Reeves will remain.
Daniel nodded once and walked out, past the display of caskets, into the gray afternoon light. The funeral had been canceled. The plot was his, and his alone. He drove back to Evergreen Cemetery as the afternoon shadows stretched long across the grass. At the plot, a stone worker knelt with a chisel, tapping at the granite with patient, precise blows. Patricia's name was being methodically scraped away, letter by letter. Daniel stood several rows back, hands in his pockets, watching without expression.
She wanted me buried with her name. Now it's the first thing I erase.
The chisel's tap echoed across the still lawn. Marble dust caught in a slant of low sun. When it was done, only Reeves remained in crisp letters, the end date gone, the stone clean. He approached and laid a single white lily at the base of the stone. The flower lay against fresh chisel marks. He stepped back and looked at the sky. Then he turned and walked toward the gate, leaving the name behind. He passed through the cemetery gates without looking back. The evening air carried the scent of cut grass. He walked along the tree-lined sidewalk, past houses with their porch lights flickering on at a small neighborhood park. He slowed and sat on a wooden bench facing the last of the sunset.
She thought I'd never know. Thought I'd just get dizzy and fade.
He tilted his head back and looked up at the deepening sky, feeling the solid weight of the bench beneath him.
I am still here. That's the answer to every plan she made.
A small, weary smile crossed his face. It was the first real one in weeks. He rose from the bench and shoved his hands into his pockets, beginning the short walk home. The streetlights hummed to life above him, and his steps fell quiet and even on the pavement. The front door of the house swung open, and Daniel stepped inside, turning on the light.